On May the 17th, John Wathen, with the help of Tom Hutchings, a SouthWings pilot, once again flew out over the Gulf of Mexico to check on the BP slick. Leaving the coast of Alabama, we could see up the coast as far as the state line toward Florida. There was no sign of any sheen or any damage to the beaches there as of yet. It wasn't long after we left the shoreline that we ran into our first tide line of thin red oil on the water. The second encounter was a thin, glossy sheen of oil across the water that we had encountered before, almost in the same location at about 14 miles out. This soon changed and became the red layers that we had seen earlier at about 26 miles. They became thicker as we went in. At 38 miles, they became deep streaks of red again. The color seems to have changed somewhat. It's not the bright red that it was before, it's more the brown. It's as if the dispersant they're putting on it is merely hiding it from sight. Is it going away, or is it just going under the water? It seems to be spreading out thinner and thinner as it goes, covering more of the Gulf of Mexico. It seemed that the closer we got to the source, the more oil there was on the water, the more cloud cover there was above. When we left the shore, the skies were clear. As we encountered more oil, the clouds thickened. It's as if this thing was creating its own weather pattern. Nothing could have prepared me, though, for what I saw next. Looking out across the tops of the clouds, there was one that stood out all by itself. Long, black, ugly-looking thing. It seemed to come straight up out of nowhere. This is the burn at the source of the BP slick. All of the smoke that you see generated here is coming from tiny fires when you compare them to what's on the horizon. Are we really doing good? When you think about the size of this, how much smoke will we have to generate before we burn all the oil in the Gulf of Mexico? Is the trade-off for what we're putting in the atmosphere worth what we're burning off the surface of the Gulf of Mexico? Are we just trading one toxic environment for the other? While the size of these fires seems pretty big when you look at the smoke, in reality, it would take thousands of these fires to burn all the oil on the Gulf of Mexico right now. Can we really afford to do that to the atmosphere? We watched as the fire went out, the heavy black plumes of smoke that came from it led out over the cloud tops toward Florida. As we left this fire, we turned to another fire on the horizon. This is the flare boat. There's a long pipe that extends from this ship to the floor of the Gulf and connects to the broken wellhead. There it's siphoning off some of the gas that's being released. With the heavy black plume of smoke leveling off at about 4,000 feet, pointing toward Florida, we turned our heading toward the southern shores of Louisiana. Along the way, we encountered flows of heavy crude, They pointed in a direct line to the same heading we were, the southern shores of Louisiana and the mouth of the Mississippi River. The barrier islands and the marshlands there were definitely in the path of this. NOAA reports that day said that there was suspected landfall of crude in southern Louisiana. There was definitely landfall in southern Louisiana, and the line of crude pointed straight back out to the BP Slick source. With thousands of miles of shoreline to protect, it's impossible to keep the buoys strung out and properly deployed. No sooner than one string of buoys is properly deployed, the sea comes along and destroys it, wads it up in a knot, and renders them useless. It's plain to see that this is a futile gesture to protect the shorelines of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. But what can we do? We have to do something. We need every scientific mind in the country working on this, and not just those at BP who are trying to protect the resource.